You've been looking pretty good these last few weeks, man.
Yeah, I got a secret stash of the stuff from the mail.
Oh,
Yeah,
you got the Caldera Lab stuff too, huh?
I did get it.
Dude, this is some great stuff, man. It's a 3-product regimen. You can go to their website and check the third-party results yourself. You don't have to believe Ray or I, but we've both been using it. It's great stuff. The 3-product regimen of the good, the base layer, and the clean slate. People who have used it are experiencing smoother and healthier looking skin. It's really great stuff. Go over to calderalab.com and use promo code DELUXE for 20% off. This is a great deal, Ray.
Yeah, look good, feel good, live good. That's what I always say.
Absolutely. calderalab.com. Use promo code DELUXE for 20% off of your entire order.
Face it, dating sucked in your 20s, gets worse in your 30s, and your 40s, forget it.
It's a cesspool out there, and we're your flotation device.
Join us weekly for saucy chat, ridiculous love gurus,
and MILF-worthy fun to spice up your life.
The MILF and Me Podcast. Every Wednesday on your favorite pod platform.
And the MILFandMePod.com.
The MILF and Me Podcast.
This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Deluxe Edition. I am your host, Casey Shearer. Joining me, as always, that guy, L. Ray Sexton.
What's going on, Casey?
Not too much, buddy. You are actually not that guy. Our guest today is that guy.
Yep.
Larry Hankin. You've seen him in everything. This is an amazing interview. It's a long one, but Larry tells some great stories. And if you want to hear more great stories by Larry, definitely check out the book, That Guy. You can find it on Amazon. It's amazing. This dude has just phenomenal stories. I mean, I could literally probably talk to him for 5 or 6 hours, but we don't want to do that to everyone. So we're going to talk to him again later in a couple months to get some more of those stories out. But before we get into the show, let's just do a little house cleaning here quick. We are a part of the Deluxe Edition Network. You can find all of the other great shows over at deluxeeditionnetwork.com. And the podcasts of the month this month are Metalhead Journeys and The MILF and Me. Check them out. Really great shows. The Metalhead Journeys shows, as it's one of our OG members on the network, one of the original members of the network. Check them out. They've been around. Good show. Mm-hmm. Good show if you're into metal music, or want to learn about metal music. All right. If you'd like to support our show, you could go over to patreon.com/deluxe edition pod and find the show immediately after it's recorded and unedited. Patreon.com/deluxe edition pod. Or you could go over to deluxeedition.show and find all of our previous shows over there. Or go check out our Instagram page at Deluxe Edition Pod. Ray is handling the duties over there. And what else, Ray?
Head on over to TeePublic and go to the 10-cent Beer Night Podcast store. The name's deceiving. It really is, because I just sell bootleg Deluxe Edition stuff over there. And if you're a traveling man like Casey, you can go over there and get yourself a travel mug. So that would be cool. And then you could buy some stickers and put the same image on it because the sticker's the exact same image, but you can put another one on there. Be real cool.
And something that we've been doing here of late, if you see one of these stickers or magnets out in the wild, take a picture of it, send it to us, send it to Ray, send it to me, send it to the Deluxe Edition, whatever, Polaroid, whatever. Send it our way, and we will send you something.
If they have a fucking Polaroid picture of a sticker in the wild, I think we should send them a shirt.
Absolutely.
But they gotta send us the Polaroid to prove that it's actually real.
Yeah, the actual Polaroid in what do they call it? Snail mail, right?
Right. Yep. You got to get an envelope and a stamp, and you got to shake it like a Polaroid picture and put it in there and send it to us.
Yeah. If you go to all the trouble of that, we will send you a T-shirt.
Yep.
So, all right, Ray. Am I missing anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Here is our chat with Larry Hankin. We're good, man.
We're good.
Hey, I wanted to show you before we get started here.
Oh, wow, man. Cool. It's right up here. That is right here on this wall, right up above the thing. That's funny. That's my favorite one. That's really good.
Mine too, man. That's why I got this one.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
Hey, Larry, thank you for joining us, man. I got to ask you, I just read your book, That Guy.
Oh, really? Oh, that
by Larry
guy.
Hankin.
Great. Yeah.
Cautionary memoir.
Yeah.
So I just finished it today, man. Where do you get the balls or the confidence, I guess, in life? I mean, like
to
telling
talk that way, to act that way with all those famous people.
Yeah, like
complete naivete.
Like
I don't know I'm doing it. When I read the book, I was blown away.
So
holy cow! How did I do this? Why did I say that? You know what? It's just I think I have somewhere I call the second man, my muscle memory, or muscle memory. I call that another guy. Like when I'm playing guitar, I don't watch my fingers, I don't watch that. So how do I know how do my fingers know where to go? I'm not paying any attention to them. So it's muscle memory, basically. But I call it another guy. There's another guy who's just watching my fingers, So there's a lot of things that muscle memory do that I just say, oh, that's that other guy. So I have now incorporated those two things into one thing, and I don't think about it, but my brain keeps. So those things that I say to those people, that's the other guy. That's not me. That's just because when I read the book, I really was surprised at my temerity at talking to this. But I really believe in that. I mean, it's not a mistake. I don't take it back. No, that's the way I felt, and so I just said it. But I take no responsibility.
So the one instance I'm talking about, and we want people to go buy the book. So I pulled sections of the book that I want to talk about.
Great, that's great. You're the first one who's ever. I've talked. Go by the book, but I've never talked about what's in the book.
Oh yeah, let's talk about it, man. So
that's cool.
The first question, like about the confidence, you told Clint Eastwood and Don Siegel that you're not doing another take, and you walked away. I mean, that's
yeah. I said I said in my head I was saying, "Fuck these guys, I quit. I don't care if I get fired. Fuck these guys." That was in my head, and so I just said no. Because now it was a slow build. I just didn't do that out of nowhere. There was weeks of a build of anger and frustration and feeling that I was being demeaned or laughed at. So they finally what's his name, the director,
Don Siegel.
Don Siegel. He finally told me what was going on. Just in conversation, not like, well, listen, Larry, this is what's going on. No, he said, yeah, but we were doing that because, that's what we do, and that's what the old days do. We like you. So it was a way of them showing that they liked me, that I was a member of their gang, and so Don Siegel said, I said, what's going on, man? Because they were putting me on. That was the whole thing. They kept putting me on and putting me on. And then when the crew sees that, and it was Clint Eastwood's crew, then they started doing it. So there was weeks of me being put on as an act of friendship, of love, of, hey, man, we're all one here. We're going to put you on. We put everybody. Because he said, well, back in the day, that's all that was going on those sets in the black and white days. Because that's what Don Siegel was. He made amazing movies that were black and white. So he said, that's what was going on. We would just put each other on. And then he would tell me, well, he did this and Clint Eastwood did that and back in the day. And I don't care about that. So I finally figured it out, but by then I had walked and been, fuck these guys. I want to be, I'd rather be fired than go through all this bullshit. So, and then finally Clint, I think it's in the book where he called me, he said, hey, Larry, come on back. What I did was, just to fill in the people who haven't read it, at one point I said, here's what the ritual was. They have a big ritual, Clint and the director, Don Siegel. They've done like 5 or 6 movies together. So they know each thing, and they kind of respect each other's space. So each time, and all my scenes are with Clint Eastwood, all of them. So if I got mad at another actor, it was Clint Eastwood who I got mad at, because that was the only guy I was acting with, really. So I said, so each time their ritual was, every time there was a take, Don Siegel would say, okay, cut. Now, first you got to know, Clint Eastwood doesn't like to do another take. He wants to do one take all the way through the movie. If you have to do another take, he wants to know why. Now, if you give him a good reason, that's fine. I mean, he knows how to make movies. He's a director, fine. Oh, and during this film, Don Siegel was teaching Clint Eastwood how to direct. So there's 2 things going on. Actor, teacher, and director, teacher, and director, actor. So, and you never knew when one was going on and the other wasn't. So the ritual was that after each take, Don Siegel would come up, he would stop and say, either from behind the camera, generally he would walk up to him. So there was just 3 of us, but they were just talking like that. I didn't exist in that conversation. I was like this. So that's what started it. They would just totally ignore me and just say, how is that for you, Clint? And Clint says, that was okay. Let's move on. And then he would say, yeah, okay, fine. Moving on. And that was a ritual every time. And one time Don Siegel said, okay, let's do another take. And Clint said, why are we doing another take? And Don would come up and say, right in front of me, but they would totally ignore me. Say, well, the camera jiggled or went off the track or something. He said, oh, okay, let's do it again. Okay, fine. So we'd do it again. So then he would come up in the second take and he would say, how is that for you, Clint? And Clint would say, fine. And I finally got so, at this point, just frustrated at this ignoring me and just saying, not how is it for you, Larry? No, just how is it for Clint? What the fuck is going on? I mean, see, there you go. There you go. But I was just, I would just stand there, but in my brain. Okay, so finally, after because I was there for 3 months, so about a month and a half into it, after this freaking ritual all the time, I just couldn't be ignored anymore. So I was like just another human being, and we were 3 human beings at this point. So I said, Clint said, that's fine, let's move on. So just before he said, moving on, I said, I'd like to do it again. Whoa. I mean, like all of a sudden, everything quieted down. Now I heard that. I heard the silence. And I said, well, I have a little power here. You know, I shut everybody up. So he said, you want to, so Don said, yeah, Clint was just looking at me like, what? Don goes, what do you mean? I said, well, I think I can, I want to do it again because I think I can do it better. And Clint said, well, I can't. And he walked away. And so Don Siegel walked away and everybody laughed, the entire crew, because they were now watching this. And that's when I said in my brain, fuck you. And I just walked. I just, goodbye. I didn't say anything. I just, and I started, I headed for the door. The door, we were on a tier, on tier C. So that's like 30 feet above, you know, tier, you look over and look down. So we were on the third tier. So there was no way to walk away except along the tier. Now, this way, we were here. The camera was actually cantilevered out over the ground because they were shooting this way and the, you know, the tier was this way. So the camera's cantilevered out, shooting into a cell, and everybody was on that side of the camera. So that was blocked. There's crew and other actors and stuff. So I couldn't walk that way, which is where the door was. The other door was about a mile down there. And so I'm saying, so I just turned and I said, I don't, and I'm thinking in my brain, I don't care if I'm fired. I don't care, man. I'm not going to go through this bullshit. Because they were also putting me on. So that was just like the cherry on my Sunday. And so I just kept on walking. And as I'm walking, and there's this silence, there's this dead silence back there. And I'm just saying, I don't care. I don't care. Let them fucking fire me. I'm not going through this anymore. And the door is getting further and further away. I panic. And I just say, and finally, I got to the door. And just as I was reaching for the doorknob, I hear Clint say, hey, Larry, come on back, man. We're just kidding around. And I just turned around and said, oh, okay. And I just walked back. And we just went on with the shooting. I mean, he said, hey, Larry, you know, don't worry about it. Okay. Let's just do this. Okay. And then boom. And we went on and like nothing happened. And that's the second thing about making movies with the old timers. And Clint is really an old timer. But Don Siegel is. I mean, he had gray hair and he's an elder gentleman. He died, I think, a couple of years, maybe a year or two after that movie was made. And we were going to make a movie together. That's how much we liked each other. So, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
And I didn't understand. And then later, I think a couple of days later, me and Don and I, Mr. Siegel and I were talking, you know, just waiting for them to set up the camera, the lights. And he said, yeah, we used to put each other on all the time back in the old days, in the black and white days. I go, you know, what do you mean? He said, well, you know, I mean, if you remember the still photos, you guys can remember the still photos. Everybody was in suits, remember? Everybody, the actors, the crew was in suits, everybody. And the sets and the lights were like huge and very hot, extremely hot. So that's how they kind of blew up some quote unquote steam. You know, they just got rid of a lot of frustration because of the heat. So they would put each other on and it was just accepted. So like there's a couple of times, like for instance, he gave me one example that he just picked out of the air. There was a movie that Don Siegel didn't direct it. It was a I think, well, who's the wunderkind, you know, the shark movie, Jaws. Who directed it? Steven
Spielberg.
It was a Steven Spielberg movie about you know, the Nazis and he said, you know, there's a scene where the two stars are tied in a chair back to back, you know, and they're tied, and the camera is going around. There's a shot where the camera goes around as they're tied together, and they're in the costumes. In those days, those suits were made of wool. The actors' costumes were made of wool, real suits. back in the day. So they were wearing wool suits and all those lights, even though it was a color movie in modern. It was, Don was saying, it was hot as hell. So what they did, they asked both actors who had to sit there for take after take after take to get that thing right. And they were just like sweating. So what they did was, where does the camera cut off? Where are you filming? So they said, we're doing like a cowboy, a little above a cowboy, which is a cowboy is a belt up. That's a cowboy shot. So he said, they're a little above the belt for a cowboy. He says, okay, fine. So both actors took off their pants. So on the set, they were tied with just the suits and jackets, but you know, they were in their underwear for the rest of the, but you know, that wasn't on the camera. So he was saying things like that would go on and they would joke about it. And they'd say, no, we're going to shoot the whole thing. Ha, 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 ha. You know, so, okay. So that's what was going on, but they were also putting me on the entire time. And I was so naive. That was my first picture I ever made, first Hollywood movie I ever made. So I didn't know what was going on, and I was about, I don't know, in my late 20s, I guess, or maybe even younger. I looked much younger than I was, but so I didn't know anything. I wanted to learn how to make movies. I wanted to be an actor, so I was always there every day in costume for 3 months. And you had to get up at 6:30 in the morning because of the boats. It's on Alcatraz. So there was 10 boats. And the crew and all the actors and 200 extras, you know, to play the prisoners. We had to get on these 10 boats. With the 10 boats were the tourist boats. That's who they are. They just hired them because they didn't start until, I think, 10. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, they were hired to take the crew there. And then at the end of the day, at 8 o'clock at night, when they were finished with their tourists, they would take everybody and back. So if you wanted to go on Alcatraz Island, you had to get up at 6:30, go down to the dock and catch those 8 o'clock boats or those 7:30 boats, because that was it. There was only one other boat at noon exactly, one boat, and that was for the CEOs. You know, the people who flew up from LA, and, you know, they would catch the noon boat. And so if you were in a shot that was scheduled for like 5:30 p.m., you had to get up at 6:30 in the morning and go out to 8 o'clock and wait all day on the island
Jesus.
to do your 5:30 shot. However, if you did like a 11:30 shot a.m., you had to get up at 6:30 in the morning, do your 11:30 shot a.m., and wait until 8 p.m. to go back. And you couldn't use the noon boat. Nobody did. So here's another put on where that was being, now that you know the knowledge, okay, so here's the other put on where I couldn't take it anymore. Where Clint and there's a thing where in the script it says Clint jumps when they were going to escape. They're on the roof and they have to jump from one building to another. It's just far enough away so you can't make it. It's, you know, it's like that much further than, no matter how hard you try or who, you're not going to make it. Even, you know, no. So I was staring at that, wondering how they were going to shoot it. You know, I thought, well, Clint likes to do his own stunts, you know, but he's a major star. Will they allow him to do it? Can he do it? So I was just standing at the edge looking over, and I hear this voice on the back behind me saying, "You think you can jump that?" And I turn around and it's Clint. And I go, "Oh yeah," because I knew he had to. So I said, "Oh yeah, I can do that." Really? Oh sure. I bet you $10 you can't. So I go, "Now I know already this is past that the put-ons, so I know about it now. I know this is a put-on. You know, if he's betting me for an impossibility, so I go along with the put-on. No, Larry, don't. Because here's the other thing that I learned right then, well, at the end of it. They don't kid around with their put-ons. They push it as far as it'll go, and they put it all on you. Hey, man, I just told him to jump, I didn't think he was going to jump. So anyway, so he goes, I'll bet you $10. I said, oh, yeah, sure. Okay, so we're having a bet. So he says, okay, go ahead. Well, so I don't know what it was. I thought, okay, we just got to keep it going. He doesn't really mean he wants me to jump because it's impossible. So he says, go ahead. So I made up something. I don't know what it was, but we were going back and forth about, well, why, you said $10, whatever. We were just standing there talking about the bet, not saying this is a put on, this is a real bet, and I'm going to jump. And all of a sudden, his crew, again, this fucking crew, man, they saw this and they stopped because we're up on the roof and we had gone up there early, and me too. I'm not even in this shot, but I went up there to watch and see how they built it and what they were going to do and how to work around it. So I was curiosity. So the crew stops, but the director wasn't there. They were just setting up the shot. And we're standing there talking, and they stopped. Again, they just stopped, and they started to watch this. And I saw that. Oh, man. No, I'm not gonna give in. No, he's gonna give in. Clint is gonna give in. So he said, so everybody crowds out. And then Clint sees that everybody's watching. So he says, okay, Larry's gonna try to jump over here, so let's give him some room. You want to run? You want a running start, Larry? And he's dead serious, man. And the crew, like backs up. They say they formed like a big semicircle with enough room. So I pretend, how am I going to get out of this? What's the punchline here? That's all I'm thinking. Punchline. What's the out? And so okay, and I get back, and the crew moves back. And then I said, oh, I get it. I'm going to go back here. So I start to walk back, and I see Clint is standing right by the edge, where we were talking. And then he's going to stop me. I'm going to run, and he's going to stop me. And as I get back, I'm pretending, okay, let me see this, get this going here now. I see Clint move away. And he moved away just far enough so I see he can't get to me in time. That's all I'm thinking. No, he's too far away. I don't care. He's not going to stop me. So I'm just about to, I don't know what to do, man. I don't know what to do. I mean, I brain freeze. I can't figure the out. I know I can't make it. Everybody's watching. I've got another month and a half here. If I don't do this, I got another, I'll be in the barrel is what I'm thinking. You know what that means, being in the barrel?
No.
I've only heard it referred to on like a pirate ship where you're
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it being in the barrel means, hey, is there any sex going on around here? A pirate ship, that was a joke, any sex going on the ship? How do you guys, you're out at sea all the time. He said, well, you just, take your dick out and stick it in that hole in the barrel. Okay, so that okay, boom, boom, boom. And then finally the guy says, I'm really horny. And he does it. And hey, it works. It's fucking amazing. And he says, how does that work? He says, well, next week, it's your turn in the barrel. So I'm thinking I'm in the barrel. These guys, I mean, I got to get out of the barrel here. So, and just then, just as I'm thinking, how do I get out of the barrel? Don Siegel comes up with his secretary. He comes up to check to see how they're set. And he just sees me standing back there. Clint is over there by the edge of the thing. And all the crew is not working. They're just standing around watching me. And Don Siegel says, what the fuck is going on? I mean, he's really mad. What the fuck is going on, man? What's going on here? And Clint yells over, Larry's going to jump across this, and he's bet me $10. So So Don Siegel looks around. He says, "No, he's not. What are you doing?" And he walks up to the edge and he looks over and then he looks across. And he says, "What are you, fucking crazy? He can't make this. So he's going to jump across. He's not going to do it. He's going to fall down, break his fucking head, and we're on an island. And we got to send for an ambulance, and they're going to get a boat to come over here. He'll be dead by the time that thing goes. And we got to lose a day of shooting, and then we got to reshoot all of his scenes. Fuck you. Everybody get back to work. Fucking $10. Everybody is scurrying and blah, 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 crazy." And he said, "Larry, fuck off, Larry. Don't do that anymore." And he was really angry. And everybody, And I said, man. And it turns out he was also kidding around, Don Siegel. He wasn't mad at all. But, he wanted to wrap it up. So
Yeah.
But I mean, that's crazy, man. And my heart was beating like, I said, what am I going to do? I can't jump this. And he's saying, no, he's going to die and cry. And he was talking about the blood and everything. And then he just went on and on about what was going to happen to me and they have to reshoot. And he didn't mention the fact that I would be dead. He was saying we're going to lose a day's shooting. And we have to shoot his stuff over because we haven't shot him out yet.
How did they shoot that scene? Did Clint? Who did the
Climbed
jump?
down the pipe. He climbed down the pipe. There's a pipe there. So they already knew that.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
so
in
he
other
was
words-
nobody was jumping anywhere.
No, nobody. No. I mean, everybody knew. Even the crew knew that he was going to go down the pipe because this was planned out days before. This was a big scene, a big scene. So they had planned it out. So everybody knew everything, but except me. I didn't know. And everybody thought, holy cow, this guy, it's Larry. I mean, everybody knew my name, Larry. Larry's going to try to jump this. And, it's impossible. So they didn't, in other words, here's what I'm saying about when they put you on, they don't back off. Nobody said, you can't do that. Nobody said, that's impossible. You're going to kill yourself. Nobody. They said, wow, we're going to see a guy die. Cool. I mean, that was his crew. And Don Siegel, at another time, used to tell me in between shots and stuff, used to tell me stories about put-ons and what they did. And the old days, Broderick Crawford. And like one day he said he was shooting, it was Broderick Crawford and another big star in a movie that Don Siegel was shooting, a black and white thing. And so they didn't like each other. The two stars really didn't like each other. But, they acted like they did. I mean, they're professionals. But they just didn't like each other off camera. So they shot. So at the end of the day, and one of the things is Don Siegel had to drive home along PCH, Pacific Coast Highway. That was the drive home. So at the end of the day, Don Siegel is telling me he's driving home and he sees Broderick Crawford and he sees up ahead, he sees a bunch of cop cars pulled off to the side of the road and two guys standing and cops are holding them back. And as he slowly goes by, he sees it's Broderick Crawford and his other star, and they were bloody. They had marks. They had been fighting, and somebody called the cops. So the cops are holding him back. And as he's going by, saying, those are my two stars. They've got a 6 o'clock call tomorrow. And they have bruises on their face. And, one sleeve is ripped. And they were actually fighting, and the cops are about to bust them. And as he's going by, he's thinking, I got two options here, Don Siegel was saying as he's driving. He says, I can stop and get my two stars out of this because they got a 6 o'clock call, or I got a 6 o'clock call. Fuck them. They better show up. And they kept on going. He says, I chose to keep on going. So he kept on going. Next day, he's got a 6 o'clock call, 6 a.m. And they show up. Both of them show up. And, they're bruised, but they obviously go into makeup, and makeup covers it all. And nobody ever says anything. And they just did a day's work and they went home. So he says, that's how we did it. You just move on. You don't, nothing is connected. So that was a great 3 months. I mean, I had the best time of my life on that movie. It was.
Did you ever
greatest.
find out? Because you were cast in that with there were only 2 roles left to cast in that. So did you ever find out why you got the call for that?
No, but I figured it out finally. I mean, it took me years to because because my audition was just very. I didn't audition. I was probably the only actor who didn't audition for that role. He just wanted to talk to me, which, I mean, that happens, but generally it happens with big stars. And this is my first movie. I mean, I had done TV and stage, but I'd never done a Hollywood movie. So I was naive. I didn't know. I figured I would have to read something, and then I was very frustrated. It started with the frustration. They didn't give me any. My agent said, just go down there. And I said, well, what are the sides? The little pieces of paper that you have for your part to read for the audition. It's called a side. So I didn't have any sides, so I didn't know what the part was. So he says, well, they don't know either. So just go down there. They'll tell you when you get there. I said, yeah, but how can I rehearse or how can I memorize anything? I mean, I don't have any. He said, just go down there. They're closing in an hour. So I lead-footed down there, and then I go in, and there's no size, no parts, nobody there. I'm the only person, which is really weird. Generally, you have a crowded room full of people auditioning for the same part, and everybody kind of looks like you. It's very weird and disconcerting. But there's nobody there except a secretary. And I say, is there any parts or anything? Do anybody know it? No, what are you here for? Well, I escaped from Alcatraz. No, we just have we have to have screenplay. I said, a screenplay? I don't even know what part. You want it or not? Okay, give me to. So I give it to him. So I just put it in my lap. I'm not going to read an entire 90 pages before I go into it. I don't even know what I'm reading for. So right away, I'm discombobulated. It's my first movie. It's a big movie. I've auditioned before, but I got a chip on my shoulder. I think I always have a chip on my shoulder. I think that's what it is. So don't push me too far, guys. Okay, so I go down there, and I'm sitting there, and the thing is in my lap, alone in this room, and the door opens, and this nice lady, elderly lady, peeks her head in. Are you Larry Hankin? Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Let's just do this. I just wanted to get out of there. Because no, I'm not fucking ready. There's no. Okay. Let me just go in. Yeah, I'm ready. So I just take the screenplay and I go in, and there's just 3 people in the room. Me, Don Siegel, and this lady. And I knew that they told me, you're going to be rehearsing with Clint Eastwood. That was why I was nervous. And he wasn't there. Fucking Clint Eastwood's a no-show. So
he was already a pretty big star at that time, right?
He was the biggest star in the world at that time.
Yeah.
So I sit down, and he says, what part are you here to read? Don Siegel says. Now, I didn't know who Don Siegel was at the time. That's how naive I was. This guy is revered in Hollywood. I didn't know this. I said, oh, man. Now, Clint Eastwood isn't here, and I got like an old guy who's going to direct the movie. Oh, man. And I don't know what part I'm in. So he goes, what part are you here for? I said, I don't know. And I just said it like that. I don't know. I mean, in other words, I have an hour of, frustration now sitting in front of this guy, and he doesn't know. What part are you here for? He's a very nice little old man. And he goes, what part do you want? I don't know. He says, oh, okay. Well, and he turns to her. What part do we have for this guy? I mean, they're not serious. I'm thinking. They're not, what part does he have? So she says, well, Charlie Butch and the guy who beats him up. There's a scene in the movie where Clint is put in solitary, and a guard comes in and just beats him up because he can. So, and it's in the movie. So he says, well, and that guard. He says, which one do you want to do? I don't know. Nobody gave me a part. He says, well, you got a script in front of you. Yeah, but I can't read the whole script. and he sees my frustration, and he going, "Oh, okay, calm down. Okay, what about the warden? You want to do the warden? Not the warden, the guard. You want to do the guard?" I don't know. And she says, no, we can't do the guard. We already, I was mistaken. We already hired the guard this morning, and I don't think he can. I don't think he can beat up Clint Eastwood. Larry, can you beat up Clint Eastwood? No. Yeah, I didn't think so. No, the guard's out anyway. All right. What about Charlie Butts? I don't know. I don't know what the part is. Okay. You want to read with me? Okay. All right. You got a script in your hand. And he takes his script. He goes, turn to page 98. Okay, I'll read with you. You want to go out and rehearse or what? Now he's just like, this guy doesn't know anything. I mean, he's talking to me like I'm stupid. He says, you want to go out and rehearse or what do you want to do? No, let's just, because I wanted to go home. I didn't like what's going on. They're just dissing me all over the place. So this is my attitude in Hollywood. This is what's going on all the time and everything. I'm always, one step behind what's going on. One naivete too little. And he goes, okay, let's just read. So he reads. He says, you read Charlie Butts, I'll read the other part. Okay, you ready? Okay. I'll read for you. Bop, 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 bop. He says, just read one page. Bop, 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 bop. Boom. Okay. Yeah. All right. You got the part. You're Charlie Butts. And I just sat there. And he goes, you don't believe me? No, I don't. I don't believe you. Okay. All right. Tell you what. Go home, sit by the phone, see what happens. Now get out of here. So I got out of there. And I go home and I sit by the phone, and about 20 minutes later, the phone rings. Hey, Larry, my agent. You got it. Wow, you're in a movie. Yeah, it's great. What the fuck, man? How did I do that? If I had to do another audition, what's my takeaway? Be stupid? I don't know. I mean, what happened? And that was how I was for the 3 months. That's how they related to me. This guy doesn't know anything, so we can tell him anything, and blah, blah, blah. And then the other thing was, which was the upside of all that, was I went every day. Every day I got up at 6:30 and I went, and because I wasn't in every scene every day, so I would just stand by the camera and watch, because I just wanted to see how they made a big tentpole movie. I mean, there was a lot of money in that movie. And I just was amazed because, I come from San Francisco on a little stage theater. And this was unbelievable. So, but every day I would come and there was something else. So the upside is I'd be in costume. The only costume was blue shirt, jeans, white socks, black shoes, and I just put that on every day, went down to the boats, 8 o'clock, boom, stayed there, 8 o'clock back. And I would just stand by the camera and watch Don and him act because I wanted to learn. But they noticed that. I didn't know that. I thought, I'm totally, but they didn't relate to me at all, except it moved back. That's, if I was in the way of the camera, no, Larry, move back a little. Okay. But every time they needed an extra or somebody, every once in a while, if you watch it, I was only on, I think, 4 scenes in the movie, but I'm all through that movie because Don would go, Larry, get in there. I go, well, what am I doing? It doesn't matter. Get in there. I go, well, what should I do? It doesn't matter. Just get in there. Well, why am I in there? Because I need another guy in there. Get in there. Okay. So I would do that. So like one time he was, and they would like be nice to me when they weren't putting me on. They'd be very nice to me, like, because they thought, well, he doesn't know what's going on. Like one day he says, get in there. It was a scene. There was he said there was the McGowan and Clint Eastwood were like a close up of their faces talking. So it was just like profile. you know. So just talking frame, but they were shooting. It was where I walked down there where I quit. We said they were shooting into the cell, so the camera was out over the tier, and it was just a close up of those two guys. So he says, get in the cell. So I go, why? He said, because. And then he explained to me. He says, well, because it's, I got two profiles and there's a big hole and there's an empty cell. So I just want a body in the cell. So there's something else going on besides these two profiles because I got a big nothing in the cell. So get in there. I say, oh, great. How much time do I have before you're going to shoot? He says, well, they're going to set the lights. You got about 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Okay. So I ran down to Warner Brothers has put a, what do you call it? A prop department on the island, so we didn't have to, send for it with a boat and everything. So the big prop department in the cell, one of the cells, a couple of cells. So I run over and I go, "Give me a checkerboard, quick." So he said, "We don't have any checkerboards." Oh, mate, we got chessboards. Okay, give me a chessboard. Give me a chessboard, and the men and the women and the pawns. Okay, so I get it, and I go, and then the AD comes running up. He says, "Larry, come on, they need you." Get the thing, and I go in and I'm in the back in the cell, and I'm setting up the chess pieces and everything like that. And he says, "Okay, act ready." And here's the weird thing, man, and this is really true. Don Siegel, he says, "Okay, all right, let's get set. Everybody ready?" So the two actors get in, Clint and McGowan, and they get in. They got in and they focus, and they say, "Okay," and then all he says is, "Larry, you ready?" He doesn't ask Clint. He doesn't ask McGowan. He yells out, "Larry, you ready?" I go, "Yeah." Okay. All right. And camera, sound, action. And then they go, blah, 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 blah. And then in the middle of the scene, he goes, "Cut! Larry, come here." I go, "Oh shit, now what did I do?" So I get out of the scene and he called me over. He didn't leave the camera. "Come here." "What the fuck are you doing back there?" "I'm playing checkers." "No, you're not. You're playing chess. What the fuck? You got a chessboard. You can't play checkers." I say, "Yeah, but see, Charlie Butts went down to the Alcatraz game board place and all the checkerboards are out. Charlie Butts doesn't know how to play chess, but he'll play checkers with chess because that's the only board available to him. So I'm playing checkers with a chessboard because there is no chessboard on Alcatraz." "That's what you're doing?" "Yeah." "Okay, get back in there." No, I don't have to play chess. "You can play whatever you want. Get back in there. Let's shoot this." "Okay, let's go. I just wanted to know what the hell you were doing." "Okay, let's go." And he would shoot. I mean, so the whole entire time, no matter what, I was either for. One time he goes, "What was it? It was something I couldn't do." And he goes, "We're shooting here." Oh, he wanted me to cry in the scene when my wife comes. He wanted me to cry, and he goes, "Okay, Larry, in this scene, get in there and oh, I was playing cards. Do you want to hear this? I mean, I'm talking.
Yeah.
This.
Let's
So,
hear it, man.
I'm playing cards with the crew because that's what you do, in between. There's a long time between shots and setting up and everything. So we're playing cards with the crew, poker, and I got a pretty good hand. And all of a sudden, they look up. There's like 5 of us. So they look up behind me, and I go, and I look back, and it's Don Siegel, and he's standing there behind me, and he goes, "Larry, what are you doing?" I go, "I'm playing cards. You're in the next scene." "Well, yeah, but the next scene is not for like a half hour. I mean, you're just setting up. You're not ready to shoot." He said, "But this is your crying scene." "Crying scene? It doesn't say. I don't know about a crying scene. What are you talking about?" He said, "You're with your wife. She's visiting you." Yeah. But it doesn't say I'm crying. So I want you to cry. You can, and then he saw the, discombobulation on my face. He goes, can you cry? I go, I guess so. What do you mean you guess so? Can you cry? I go, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I never cried before in a movie. He says, well, I think you better go into your dressing room and practice, because I don't care if you have to slap yourself silly, but I want you to cry. And he walks away. And the other guys are just like, going, what the fuck was that all about? So I say, well, I think I got to go to my dressing room and practice. And you put my cards down and I left. And you go, good luck. Okay. Going, and I'm slapping myself silly. That doesn't work, man. It doesn't. And I can't cry. And I'm, oh my God, man, this is crazy. And he was serious, man. So I figure out, okay, I wouldn't cry in this scene. And I figure out a backstory for why I wouldn't cry. So I go looking for him now. Don Siegel, the director. I said, where's Don Siegel? He's just talking to his secretary, Barbara, over there. So I go over. And she now walks away and talking to somebody else. And I go, can I talk to you for a second? He goes, yeah, sure. What? And then he's very serious. So he says, Bob, I just want to talk to this guy. So hold it for a second. So he clears everybody away. He said, oh, yeah, what is it? I said, I don't think Charlie Butts would cry in this scene. Really? Why is that? Well, see, and I give him some cock and bull story about why he wouldn't cry. I don't remember what it was, but I had it worked out in my head. Well, because his father or whatever, I don't know. But he wouldn't cry. Maybe he doesn't like his wife. I don't know. He wouldn't cry. He wouldn't cry. Barbara, would you come over here for a second? Barbara, she comes over. Barbara, okay, bye. This is Larry playing Charlie Butts. Larry, tell Barbara what you just told me. So she doesn't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. So I go, okay. I told him that Charlie Butts in this scene wouldn't cry because he doesn't like his wife or whatever I said. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But he wouldn't cry in this scene. So she says, okay. And she turns to him. She says, yeah. So he said to her, what the fuck is he talking about? And then he turns to me and he goes, hey, Larry, I got a movie here. I got an arc of all men from beginning to end. It's all men and they're in prison. This is testosterone city. They just want to escape or they want to fight. That's it. Now, I got too much testosterone. I got too much anger. I need another emotion. I need somebody to cry. I need somebody to cry about right here. And he points to the ceiling and he goes, right here. I need somebody in this arc. I need somebody to cry right there. Guess whose scene is right there? Your scene. You're going to cry in this scene, okay? Now I got to set up this other scene, so get busy. Boom. And he walks away with her. And she looks at me and goes, and follows him. And I'm going, oh my God, what the fuck? What's going on? So I went back into and I just couldn't fucking, I couldn't. And then the AD comes in, you're up, you're seeing, crying scene. You think you're going to cry? I mean, everybody knew. Yeah, you're going to cry? You think you're going to cry? I don't know, man. And he goes, well, what are you going to do? I don't know. I just get. So he goes, Larry, you ready to cry? Yeah, I'm ready to cry. I mean, I refuse to cop to anything. Yes to everything. Yeah, I'm going to cry. Yeah, okay. So then I sit in the cell and then he puts the camera this far away. The camera is right there. It's a choker. It's like right here. And it's just this big scene. And it's in the you look and see it in the movie. I'm like, I've never been that close to a camera. I didn't even think they allowed cameras to be that close. And he goes and he says, you ready to cry, Larry? And I go, yeah, I'm ready to cry. Again, I'm going to be fired. I don't know where this happened before or after the other firing, but I don't know where it was. He says, yeah, I'm going to cry. He says, okay, all right, everybody. And now everybody's gathered around like they're going to see Larry cry. I mean, like, this is a big deal. Oh, man. So I go, okay. And the camera's like, he says, okay, and sound, camera, action, cry, Larry. And I'm going, nothing. Nothing. Okay, cut. George, bring it in. Nothing. George comes in. There's a crew guy. And you know those little grandma perfume bottles? You know, they're like cut glass, and they have a long thing where you squeeze the tube at the end and it sprays out. You know, one of the little those. This big whole hunk of a guy, you know, comes in with this little grandma perfume bottle, and he sticks it between the camera and me. You know, he sticks it right in here, and he just goes, and this fine mist goes right by the camera and disappears. You know, what's going on? And then I hear him go, sound, camera, Larry, action, cry. And I go, and tears start pouring down my eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cut. Larry, that was great. Thank you very much. Moving on. Boom. And I go, what the fuck just happened? And I go over to Don and I go, what was that? What was he spraying? That was wintergreen, Larry. That when you spray that, it makes you cry. It makes you tear up. That little bottle of wintergreen has given more actresses Academy Awards than anything else. And he walks away.
So he knew the whole time he was going to use that.
Yes, from the time he stood behind me in the poker game. That's how long these fucking put-ons were. I mean, they would put you on for days. And, you know, finally, I mean, I was out of, it was one of these, well, I think it was that. And then later on, it was the, you know, the walk, and I don't care if I get fired to the door. Because I think after that, I remember the relief of it stopped. The put-on stopped. I was now welcome into the club. They did it enough that I was okay. Because I guess they thought, and I probably didn't, I didn't bite anymore. In other words, I sensed, no, I'm not going for it. So I didn't react, you know, but it was great. I mean, it's the greatest vacation I ever had. You can't believe. And Clint, after the movie was over, he recommended me for another movie, for Rat Boy.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, I got along. It wasn't like it was just all put on, and the fun of making old time movies. He said that they both said that was what was going on all the time, because of the heat and because of the suits and because of the tension, and it was all, you know, cool.
2 times in your career, Larry, directors didn't direct you because the first time one thought you were actually a Hell's Angel, and the other time they thought you were on acid. How does this make you feel? Because like after the fact, you went up to them and asked them like, why didn't you talk to me on set? Why didn't you direct me? So does that make you feel better as an actor that you're like, damn, I did that good of a role, or I did that good of a job as an actor that they were like, I guess the one might have been scared of you as the Hell's Angel, and the other one just thought you were all fucked up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, one thought I was a Hell's Angel, and the other thought I was just fucked up. He thought I was on acid.
Yeah.
Well, no. Basically, what it made me think of was acting is not my thing. I'm not an actor. I don't have the temperament. I don't have the focus, and I don't have the desire. I mean, that's why I could do what I did. The desire wasn't there, and I didn't know it. Desire comes from a deep well. I mean, you have to desire. If you desire something, man, you got like incredible energy. But I didn't have the energy, so I could say, fuck you, I quit. It didn't mean anything to me. So I could do that, you know, and it didn't It didn't affect me if they went through with it. Yeah, you're fired. Get out of here. Yeah, okay, fine. I'll get another job. Now that's what agents would tell you. You know, hey, I didn't get the audition. Don't worry, Larry. You know, there's other auditions. We'll send you out. You know, so they would buck you up. You know, but to me, it was real. I said, no, there's other jobs. Not in acting. I was a stage actor for all my life. I was a stand-up comedian, so that was my fallback. Fuck you! I'll just go back to doing stand-up. I don't need this. And it served me well, that attitude. Now, it served me well because it kept me sane, and it kept that. I need that anger, that frustration. I need that for my art. But I don't. I'm not an. I've always said that. I never dreamed of being an actor. So, like, you know, when you see somebody like you know, Robert Downey Jr. or Bryan Cranston or Robert De Niro, they always wanted to be an actor, man. I mean, I always wanted to be a funny guy. That's all. You know, stand up comedian. So this was just a lot of extra money, man. I mean, they paid you oodles of cash. No, I never got to be in the big time because I'm dyslexic, and I turned down very big roles because they were too big. Because I'm dyslexic, and it would take me longer than it would take to shoot the movie just to learn the lines. No, there's only one director, Vince Gilligan, Breaking Bad, who ever reacted to the fact, and it was the only one where I ever went up on my lines. I mean, I've never not memorized my lines, but you never see the work that I put into it to memorize those lines. And there was a standing order that my agent had to give out. Look, Larry needs to get the script first, or among the first people, you know, like the producer and whatever the first script is, the first draft, Larry's got to get it because of his inability to memorize lines. I don't know if he put that in, but that was the requirement. And I always got the script early so I could have enough time to memorize the lines. And I always had enough time to memorize the lines. And the only time I didn't, and it was because Vince Gilligan and the Nerves. I was so scared of Vince. I mean, I was a fan of that movie, of that TV show. So to be in it was, you know, it was like acting again with Clint Eastwood, the nervousness. So I went up on my lines 3 times with Bryan Cranston, and he got mad, but he really got mad. But he got passive aggressive mad. He just wouldn't look at me or he wouldn't deliver his lines to me, or he wouldn't listen to me when I had lines to give to him. He would be looking away, you know, at the junkyard or something. And he did it 3 times. I did it 3 times where I went up on my lines. And the 3rd time he said, "Hey, Larry, get your lines down." And he was very serious, and I got that. And it scared the shit out of me. It just made me more nervous.
And why were you messing up? Because didn't you get the lines ahead of time for this? Or
And I did, and I thought, you know, well, I'm a pro. I'm a pro now. I don't have to do it as long. I don't have to memorize it as long. You know, I got cavalier about it. I got cavalier about the work I had to put into to memorize the lines, and I didn't put in enough time. And I know I didn't. In other words, I brushed it off. Thought, well, just fucking, you know. No, and it has to do with nerves and dyslexia both at the same time. So you put them together. Vince Gilligan and Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston, by the way, is a perfectionist, and I give him props for it. I mean, and he's got that character down, man. He'll just go boom, and he disappears. Bryan disappears. And it's just that guy, White. It was mind blowing because I thought I was talking to Bryan and I was talking to White, you know, on screen in the scene.
Yeah.
And I realized, holy cow, this guy's gone. I mean, I'm talking to white now. So I guess that, made me nervous or whatever. So what Vince Gilligan did, because he was directing the movie, it was in the movie that I did it. So I did 2 times. One time on the TV show, and he said, take a minute and get your lines down. Vince said that to me. Just take a minute. I mean, but it was very casual. He didn't think anything of it. And I took my minute and I came back and I was fine. But so when this happened, I remember another director said to me, because when Brian said, "Hey, get your lines down," I went to the director, who was just a director, not Vince. And I said, excuse me, I said to Brian, excuse me, I got to step out of the scene for a second. He had just said, get your lines down. And I thought, wow, he's really mad. I got to talk to the director. So I went over to the director and I said, hey, Brian is really angry. Now, I'm telling you this story. I told this story to somebody else, an interviewer. And it made the papers. But it said that Bryan Cranston and Larry Hankin had a fight on the scene, on the set of Breaking Bad. No, he didn't react that way at all. He just got angry in his tone for that second. And then I walked away. So there was no anger. He just said, hey, get your lines down. That was all. But to me, it was everything. It was Bryan Cranston. I made more of it than. So I went to the director and I said, hey, Brian is really angry. And he's making me nervous. I mean, I went up on my lines. Okay, but he's, so what should I do? So the director said, well, first of all, Larry, all actors go up on their lines. So there's no big deal. Secondly, we're losing the fucking light. Get back in the scene and let's finish it, okay? Okay. I got in the scene and finished the scene and they didn't lose the light. Very simple. So, okay, now I'm doing the movie and I go up on my lines. And now Vince has, I've done it once. And now this is right near where I quit, where I retired, where I stepped aside. It was within, I guess, 2 or 3 months. And Vince goes, I went up on my lines. The walk around the car in El Camino. I walk around the car. I couldn't get that down. I did it like 3 times, and I just kept on going up on my lines. So Vince said, all right, let's take 10 minutes. Larry, go over there and just memorize your lines, okay? All right, I want to talk to the crew. Let's meet in Village. So he used the time well, but he took 10 minutes because I couldn't get my lines down. Not only that, but the other thing that made me nervous, and I knew my time is up. I don't have the fire in the belly to keep me going. My time is up to get out of acting. He said, go memorize your lines. And the upside of this, but I knew, okay, this is probably one of my last jobs. Okay, I went over, I memorized the lines, and everybody's looking at me. Memorizing the lines. Ooh, Larry's memorizing the lines. Vint is mad. Ooh. You sense this. So, but what happened was there was 3 cameras. They were filming this, and that added to my nerves. It was 3. I never saw 3 cameras on anybody else's shot in that scene or even before that scene. But he set 3 cameras up. One was on a dolly, one was on a crane, and one was just on sticks. And each one was on me. So before this scene, before I forgot my lines, I went up to Sonny and said, what are all those 3 cameras for? And he says, well, they're all on you. Why? Because I just want to get it down right. They're all on you. Never mind. So okay, fine. I don't need to know anymore. Okay. So I thought, he's called 10 minutes. I don't want to bother him anymore. So there's those 2 things. Let's get down to your question. Is there was the fear and the naivete which never left me, and the I don't need this never left me. So they were always there at the same time. And I would just focus on either one, or, oh, I better be scared and nervous, or, oh, fuck this all. I don't need this problem, you know. And they were always there. So I would just switch, and I couldn't control it. I didn't know which one I was on, you know, until it came out. So, but the three guys, the three operators, when they heard that, the 10 minutes and I'm over here, I would walk around the car to rehearse. I wouldn't go away. I walked around the car to rehearse. Meanwhile, they're in the, you know, TV village over there, and everybody else is watching me. So the three guys got off their cameras, the operators, and they came over to me and they say, you know, when you're walking around, you know, I had that thing in my hand to get that. I had a little thing in my hand, like a cell phone, checking the car for some hidden police thing. So he says, when you go around and you come around here, which is his shot, hold the camera up so it's on camera. Hold this thing up so it's on camera. Okay, not down here, up here. I said, okay. So the other two guys saw that. So they came over. He says, okay, when you come around here, just around this side of the car, just slow down, because I'm going to come up and get your face in a little bit of the car. And then the third guy goes and he gives me his instruction about what I should do when I get over there. So the upside was I was getting better shots on me because they started to rehearse, which I've never seen happen. Camera operators are not allowed to speak to the actors. I mean, that's verboten. Not even the cinematographer. It's allowed, but it's a no-no. So this I knew was helping me in the film, getting a really good shot and helping them. And Vince wasn't around to see this. He was with the other crew, with the cinematographer. So I thought, okay, it kind of alleviated the fear and the anger because it's making it better for me and I'm rehearsing, you know, so it's coming out good this time. But and I did it and it was fine. We did it once. But if you look at the movie, if you look at the movie, which I did, no, he only used one camera. It's all one shot. It's just the entire walk around is with one camera. And the reason he did it, I found out, was if you watch the scene, I only did it once. I did it twice. Once I did it, you know, and then he said, just do it again. We got it. Cool. But the second time, if you watch it, because that's the one he used, when I go around, as I come around, and like one side, the front side, then the other side, and I was going towards the back, I trip on a root, you know, just a little, you know, if this is the ground, there's just a tree root that just came up like that, you know, and my foot just hit it. And I just go like that. That was all. But I was so frightened into memorizing my lines that it didn't bother me at all. I thought, fuck falling. I can't, you know, I can't do this to Vince. I got to do this. I mean, yeah, that was what kept me from falling, is I don't want to embarrass Vince. So I get bump, and I kept on talking and boom. But that's the shot he kept because it's so natural and so real.
Yeah.
You know, just well, you know, the guy did script, but he kept on going. So it just made it better. But so the other two guys, so it's weird how things change. And my buddy's name of his production company is Movies is Magic Productions. And it's so right on that what you see in the finished product is not anywhere near what went on to get that shot, whatever it was, in anything.
Right.
I mean, and that was, it's a cautionary tale, my book. And that's what I wanted to show. That was very conscious, that I wanted to show that what you see is not what we do.
Right.
What we do is totally fake. You know?
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, it's like CGI nowadays, you know,
Yeah.
with green screen, you know, with the monsters and the spaceships and things.
Right.
You know, when you're acting, you know, full of dots and stuff, you know, and you're talking to nothing, you know, this big, huge nothing. No, don't eat me. Okay. cut. That was great, Larry. What did I? You know what? No, but no, the monster was only this big. I'm sorry. Just I don't know. So, but right after that, I phoned my agents and I said I'm out. I didn't retire. I just said I'm out. Just
Yeah.
don't send me out anymore. Because I saw that with age and the dyslexia and the fear and the naivete that I could never get rid of. Because, like I say, I never wanted to be an actor. So the fire in the belly is so important. Desire. You got to want it. If you want it, you got to want it. You can't fuck around. And I was just fucking around. And
Well, you fucked around, man. You were in close to 200 TV shows and movies. So
well,
you
because
fucked
I was
around quite a
getting
bit.
these, yeah, because what my desire was the money. I'd pay the rent so I could work on my art.
Yeah.
That money, so I could have bought a house. I could have bought a lot of houses. I don't own a house. I have an apartment. It's a fine apartment. But the money that I got, I made movies with. I made my movies. I made film shorts. I made about 30 film shorts. I've written about 5 screenplays that people now. I would write. I didn't have time to shop them around because I was always auditioning and getting jobs. So I was busy. So it was cool. I mean, it's like you're married and have kids. And you work a job because you need to pay the rent and the mortgage, and you get to feed your kids and have a life, and go out on the driving range, play some golf, go swimming, go to Hawaii. So the job was like a secondary thing. You did it and everybody did it, and it's 9 to 5. So that was what Hollywood was to me. And nobody in Hollywood is like that.
Yeah.
Everybody there, the great thing about it, whether you hate them or love them. I mean, some people are really stupidly there, but they got the fire in the belly. You don't want to work with them, but they have the fire in the belly. They're going to succeed. I was talking to a guy last night, went out to dinner with a young director, and he wants to use me in his movies. But I saw oh my God, because I don't get a chance to talk to young directors much. So he was like 28 and he had the fire in the belly, and I heard it. And I thought, my God, this is amazing. I mean, the drive that he had, and that's great. I admired it, but I thought, this is not me. So, but this is what's required.
Yeah.
And it's good because there are a lot of geniuses in Hollywood. I got to give Hollywood props. There are geniuses, but they're buried among, I don't know, wannabes.
Yeah.
There's geniuses and there's wannabes. And there's a plethora of wannabes. But among them, man, there are these people that, you're John Huston, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know, Don Siegel and Clint Eastwood, I guess. I mean, he's a great director, both of them, Clint Eastwood and Don Siegel. So yeah, but it's Hollywood, and I wanted the book to be a cautionary tale. So that's my anger and naivete got me through, because I like I say, fire in the belly is a desire. Desire is very important. I have a desire to do things, and I'm going to do them, but I'm going to do them because I have the desire to do them.
Right.
But it's not acting. I'll do it. I can do it. I do it well. I do what I like to do, and I do it all the time in my spare time. Film shorts and films for friends. And I say, if there's not too many lines to memorize, give me a small part or something. So I got so I've done 3. I got another one coming up. Just little films I do around town.
Yeah.
But I love it because it's just enough. I can, and now I'm a pro, because they hire other people who are not pros, wannabes.
Right.
So it's kind of fun now. Now it's fun. It's cool. Like I got an email the other day from a director who I've done 2 movies with small parts, but I like it. He said, "Hey Larry, here's this new screenplay. It's a feature. Read it. I haven't cast it yet. Let me know what part you want to play."
That's awesome.
Whoa, cool! I've reached a pinnacle. That's
Yeah.
great. But he's a friend, and we just shoot it around here. I can walk to the job. I mean, he
Yeah.
shoots in my neighborhood, and it's great. And it's a feature. And I haven't read it yet because now tomorrow I'm flying to Wisconsin to do a feature for a friend.
Nice.
It's 2 scenes, but they're great scenes. I just don't. I have to like it.
Sure.
I have to want to do it. But
Right.
it's just great. And he's, and I know his mom, and he's 28 years old. He does features in Michigan. This is his 5th feature. Full out. I've done 2 for him already, and this is now another one. But they're great little scenes.
Yeah.
And it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's like somebody, asking you to sit in on a game. Hey, Larry, you want to play? Come on in. Yeah, that's where. And I'm writing another book now, which is a fake memoir. I've never seen a fake memoir yet, so it's really great.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, this book, there's an incredible amount of awesome stories in this book, but I like you could get another memoir, I'm sure, with the amount of stories that you have. I mean, you wouldn't need to write a fake one, right? I mean, there's still
Oh well, I
plenty
thought
of
it
other
was
stuff.
no. Writing a book is hard.
Yeah.
You have to have a fire and ability to fit. Here's the one rule that I did follow, and every writer that I've ever read, or how to write a book, or what, they always say this one thing: if you start a book, you got to finish it.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That's it. That's it. The only rule about writing: if you start it, you got to finish it.
Well, your memory,
So,
man. I mean, I find I just like I cannot believe that you're 85, because I mean we've had you on the show before, and like your memory and like the stories, like you've told stories. I've heard you tell the same story on other interviews and shit, and like the details have never changed. Like you're still sharp as you look great, man.
Well, yeah, but I've had that all my life, and the weird thing is, again, it's the other guy, the muscle memory thing. See, that's perfectly, you nailed the other guy. He has perfect memory. Perfect memory. I don't. I'm dyslexic. So there are certain things that total fucking, I would improvise something. Back in the day when I was in Second City and improv in San Francisco, and we had lines around the block. We were really famous around America, in both the Second City and in the committee. But I would improvise something one night, and the director would go, "Now, so do you make it up? I've never said it before. Somebody called it out of the audience. We improvise it. Maybe it's a 10-minute scene. I'll do 4 or 5 of them in one night. We all, did 4 or 5 scenes in one night. First time, the director at the end of the scene says, "Okay, do that scene and that scene and that scene tomorrow night. We'll put it in the second half, which was improv scenes we just did that we want to work on and make better and put it in the permanent show." So you just take it, put it in the second half. So tomorrow night, and then he would give me notes on all 3 scenes. In that scene where you improvised, don't do the thing with the handbag, but talk about the kid a little more and just be a little less angry. Okay, in this scene, forget about don't roll down the window and put gas in the car and blah blah blah. And then the third one. And I never would think about it. I would just, because that would be after the show. So from the show ends at 12 midnight, 12 to 12:30, we get notes, you go home, and then you show up the next night, 7 o'clock, and you do the show. And that was my ritual. And I never thought about what he said, ever, for 10 years. I just show up, and the next night, bam. Not only did I memorize I didn't feel like I memorized. I just did it. But I did the same scene with all the notes he gave me, every scene. I mean, I don't know how I did it. I never thought about it. I never cared about it. It didn't make me nervous. It didn't make me happy. It didn't make me sad. It was a job. I just went in and I did it. And we all did the same thing, all of us. So it was there. It's always been there. And I never knew I had it until he started giving me notes, and I just show up the next night and there it was. So that's what I see in really great actors, in the big time actors who do leads. Brad Pitt, Bryan Cranston, anybody, Robert Downey. It just comes. Now, the other day, I just did a scene for a friend, and I really wanted to do the scene. It was a small scene, but I loved the speech. It was a little long speech, and I just loved it. What I had to say, it was written so well, it just came off of the tongue, And so I did it, and I one of the producers, who was 28, was also the actor who I was talking to. So I was doing a scene with the producer. He could fire me, this actor. So I was doing, but everybody loved what I did. They said, "Oh man, that was so cool." One guy said after it was over, because they knew I was famous, the other actors, they were all young. They said, "Can you give me some tips on acting?" I don't know. So I said, "Well, I don't know. I'm really not an actor. I just do it because I can do it. I mean, what do you want to know?" He said, "Well, the thing about the song that you just did." And I got, "The song? I didn't do any song. What are you talking about?" And he said, "Yeah, that thing you said to Blake. It sounded like a song." "Oh, you mean the thing where I where I was talking to him?" Wait a minute, I gotta get a drink here. Where I was talking to him? He said, "Yeah." He said it came out like a song. I go, "Oh wow, trippingly on the tongue. That's what you mean?" "Oh yeah, like that. It just sounds like a song." See, that's what all actors have. It's just a flow. It's like that's how real they are. It just comes out. Actors, you can tell they're acting.
Yeah.
Like Bryan Cranston disappears. He's just white. That guy white. And I don't know where that comes from. I don't know how real actors get that flow to come out. It's like rap artists, like hip hop. You get flow.
Yeah.
But I did it because I loved that little speech so much that it came out like he said, like a song. It just came out like in rhythm and everything like that. But that's why I stopped, because generally, if I got it short enough, a short enough scene and I could get the flow because I rehearsed it enough so that it became second nature. It was just something that I would just do. But it would take me a long time to do that. But other actors, I would see that. I would watch Clint, or other famous actors that I would be acting with. They all had it. They were just like one actor. I don't remember who it was, but a big time actor. Brad Pitt does it the best. He's amazing. The flow that he has. He would just be talking to me, and then somebody would say, "Hey, you're up." And then you go, "Oh, okay, excuse me, Larry." Boom, and just go into character. Just wonk. I need time. I mean, people think I'm weird because I keep to myself, trying to go over my lines to get it down, So I can't talk to you before I go on. But other actors, I mean, the real good ones that you see, that's what they do, Blah, blah,
Amazing.
blah, 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 blah. Boom. I saw Marlon Brando, who is great. I saw him do it once where the actress, this was on film. They were filming him doing that scene where he that famous French film. He was famous for it. I don't know. Anyway, but he was teaching the actress who he was going to do a scene with how to relax. She was so nervous. But they were filming it because they were going to, the making of. They were doing a making of. There's one clip where he was talking to the actress and he didn't bother about the camera. He was just saying, he was talking to her and she was saying, but I can't get relaxed enough. I'm so nervous. And she was saying, and the camera was right there and the scene was right there. And the director and the cinematographer were standing. You could see them standing by the camera, waiting for him to finish talking to her so they would do the scene. And they were filming this. And he was saying, well, what you have to do is you have to just get relaxed and don't think about it. And then he put his arm sort of on her shoulder. And he sort of, as he talked to her, you got to just relax. He moved her a little. So they were walking and talking, but very gently, not in any kind of, macho manner. It was just, so you got to just relax and just do it like, it's just like you're here and talking to me. So when you're in front of the camera, you'll be talking to me. So, and he would just lead her onto the spot where they were. And then you saw him go with this hand. He would go, and yeah, but you just got to relax. And then we're talking, and then he would just throw the line, and she just threw the line back, and they just did the scene. Oh man! And that was a lesson. That's great. And I'm just so happy that I saw that. Now, if you want to be an actor and stuff like that, that's gold right there. What he just said and how he did it. Just so gently, he didn't walk her fast, walked slow, and he just did this. Out of her sight. And then he just threw her the line and he just did so. It's brilliant. So yeah, there's things you can learn. And the song thing. In other words, the same kind of thing, that naturalness. And I always try to get that reality and for the first time when I did the thing where I was talking to Blake and he said it was like a song, I remember the feeling I got in the scene when they were filming it, saying it. And I thought, wow, this is flowing out. In other words, I could think two things at the same time. I'm talking to him and it's just flowing, but it's real. And then they showed me a clip of it on a cell phone. So it was very tiny. A couple of days later. And I thought, wow, man, that's me. I had never actually really seen me in a long speech, well, as long as what I was saying, be that natural. And it reminded me of Escape from Alcatraz. That's my best role. And that was my first role. And it was because I was so naive. I couldn't not be natural. I was just scared into being real.
Yeah.
That Charlie Butts is right on. And I've always tried to get that guy, Charlie Butts relaxed. I mean, there was so much going on. The being in front of the camera with Clint Eastwood was just such a small part of the awe that I had about being so young and so involved in something so big, I guess.
Yeah.
Because everybody says, no matter when or where, no, I think your best role is Charlie Butts, man. That was so cool. Well, because I spent so much time on screen, you could finally, really grok the whole character. But that was Don Siegel saying, get in there, Larry, get in there.
Yeah.
What am I doing? Like when I throw up, when the guy cuts his hand off.
Yeah.
That was improv. I didn't know what I was doing. He said, Larry, get in there. I said, why? It was the shop scene. I wasn't in that at all. He said, Larry, get in there. I go, why? He says, because I need bodies in there. Just get in there. I love a great director. Get in there. Okay. So I get in there. And then he goes, no. He says, okay, now. So he cuts his hand off. The camera's on there. But then he says, okay, we're going to go around and get your reaction. So everybody, okay. And when the camera's on you, I'm going to yell, he cuts his hand off, react, okay? So so there was like, I think 4 or 5 of us. Okay, and it was just, he says, it's just from here up, it's just a shot, boom. He says, okay, and action, he cuts his hand off, cut. Okay, next one, he cuts his hand off, cut. Okay, Larry, he cuts his hand off. He cuts his hand off. Oh, Larry, nice. Good. Thanks. That's in. So, each time I would have a little chance to do something. Now, that wasn't in the script, or I wasn't in the script. There's a lot of times where I wasn't in the script. So
That's awesome, man. You have time to tell us one more story here? 'Cause
yeah,
I'm
man,
fascinated.
this is great. This is
I'm
because I
fascinated
never
by this.
talked about the book, any of the stories in the book.
Yeah, I'm fascinated about this this next thing. So tell us about your
Oh, in
girlfriend.
such detail. I have talked about it, but in such detail. Okay, go. I'm sorry.
Your girlfriend Kathy in San Francisco and hanging out with the merry pranksters and her disappearing, and then you hanging out with Ken Kesey and Larry McMurdy at his house, like going to Texas. I mean, that I was when I was growing up, when I'd say 16, 17, 18, like well into my 30s, I really loved the Grateful Dead and taking acid. And I didn't take acid into my 30s. I took acid in my 20s, but you know, just fascinated by that whole thing. Like you hanging out with the band and
Dylan.
I mean, that's a different story. That's a completely different story. But I mean, those are
I've
all
been
people
places,
that I
and
looked up to too, man.
I love it. I loved that also part. I mean, the naivete and the anger. I go, wow, I was just writing, But now when I read it, it's like being the psychiatrist to Larry talking to me, It's like, oh my God, this guy is like weird. But the other part was the joy too of I love my life, the people that I've been around. That's why I want to write. But on what was the one
the merry pranksters and
Merry Pranksters.
Kathy disappearing, you having to take care of.
Yeah.
How old was the daughter at the time? 4?
I guess she was around four. Yeah, the little girl, about 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah, and this Kathy just left you with her daughter while she went to hang out with the merry pranksters on the bus.
Yeah. There was something I wanted to about that one of the stories that that whole thing, the band, I put those in because I wanted to give a little contrast to Hollywood and then the 60s, the over.
Before you go on, because I mean, I could talk to you all day about this stuff, but so like Beverly D'Angelo was hanging out with the band around that same time. Did you ever cross paths with her?
No, I went to. I don't think she went to. Did she go up to Bearsville?
I think she was hanging around with them that's like around the same time.
I never met her. No,
okay,
but I mean, I was there for a good month, maybe 2, in Bearsville with those guys.
Yeah,
a Big Pink. I went to Big Pink.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have a picture of myself in front of Big Pink as well.
Oh, really?
Not that.
It is big and it is pink.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, that's so cool that you got to hang out there with those guys, man.
Well, I mean, I didn't foster it. I never thought I would be able to. They approached me. Robbie approached me. Bob approached me. But I never knew that. But I got to tell you one thing. I never mentioned this to anybody, but you brought it up. So, I mean, Bob Dylan discovered me. He's the only one. I mean, years before anybody else thought I had any talent or put me on a stage, or when I was in Greenwich Village, I graduated college. I didn't want to be an actor. I didn't want to be anything. I didn't want to work. I just wanted to hang out. That was my one goal. What do you want to do with your life, Larry? Hang out, man. Just hang out. Really? For your entire life? Yeah. What else is there? What else is there? So my best friend was Carl Gottlieb, who wrote all the Jaws movies in college. We just went to college together. So he wanted to be a writer. I didn't have anything. I was in industrial design. I didn't want to do it. I was just doing it for my parents. But I got A's, you know. I like painting. I like drawing. So that was, but it's a lot of math. I didn't like that. So he took me to Greenwich Village. Carl said, let's go to Greenwich Village, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I got my degree and I went to Greenwich Village, and I had a lot of time. He would be working 9 to 5 and he'd be writing at night. So I would go to Greenwich Village, and I was in Greenwich Village, but I go to the coffee houses and I watch these stand-up comedians. I said, well, I can do that. I was a funny guy in high school and in college. I was funny. So I got, okay. So I did that, and I didn't know that. I didn't know this until years later when I was at the committee. So this is like at least 3 years later, at least, minimum 3 years later, maybe 4. I was in the committee in San Francisco, and Bob Dylan, who I saw him when I was in the Village. He was just another guy playing folk music. I saw him, but I walked out. I think I didn't like his singing. I didn't understand his songs. Because everybody was saying, oh, you got to go see this guy. He's Bob Dylan. He's really cool, man. I mean, he was about like 16 or 17. I was about 18 or 19. I don't know. So, and I saw, he's nothing. So I walked out. Okay. 3 years later, I'm getting to your point. 3 years later, I'm in the committee. Bob Dylan is playing Berkeley. He's now Bob Dylan. Everybody in the committee loves Bob Dylan. I kind of liked Tambourine Man. I like Hey Tambourine Man. Okay. But we were into the 60s. In other words, the improv was into 60s and stuff like that. So Bob Dylan was part of that. His famous quote, I loved it. You think I own the 60s? Fine. Here, it's yours. You deal with it. That's what he said. I thought that was the greatest thing. Here, you deal with it. So he comes into the committee, and but he was Bob Dylan. He comes in, a waitress comes backstage, and he goes, Bob Dylan's in the audience. Everybody goes, ooh. He says, he wants to talk to you, Larry. What? He wants to talk to you. I don't have anything to say to him. I don't know I don't even know his songs. I mean, what am I going to talk to him about? I know he wants to talk to you. So I wait and I wait and I wait. And then when I go out, when in the lobby, there he is sitting with Bobby Newirth, his road manager, who is so cool. Bob Newirth is amazing. He's gone now. He's sitting at a table, and he's sitting at a table because you can sit in tables and have a drink while you're waiting to go in. It was kind of a dinner theater kind of thing. He's sitting at a table, and clustered around that table are all the people from our audience. So these are like people who have maybe 20s to 30s, no teenagers, but 40s. Our audience was, people who can afford the price, and we were in San Francisco. So it was like a dinner theater thing. But they're all gathered around this table. And I said, where is he? He's in there. He's sitting at a table. I had to look over it. And they're just staring at him. I'm thinking, what kind of life does this guy have? I mean, he's sitting at a table waiting. It's a 4 or 5 person table, only 2 people, him and Newirth. And this crowd is just staring at him. I thought that's a nutty life to have. So I get through and I sit down. And I said, did you want to talk to me? And he goes, yeah. And Newirth says, let's get out of here. This place is giving me the creeps. So Dylan says, yeah, you want to get out of here? And I say, yeah, we can go to a bar around the corner. So we just get up and get out of there. You walk to a bar around the corner, and he says he wants me to write a movie for him. And Again, the naivete. I don't know what's going on. My growing up was so nothing. So, I don't know, protected. I don't know, just in Far Rockaway. I didn't know anything. I didn't know about the 60s. I didn't know about rock and roll. I didn't know about Bob Dylan. I didn't know about anything. I just went to school and set fires. I was an arsonist.
A
There was a lot
billboard
of
and
laughter.
yeah, a billboard. I had it in my notes. I was gonna say,
Oh, the
what's up with the
billboard. Yeah, I burned
billboard
down
and
a
the barn?
billboard. Yeah, I was an arsonist. So, and that was my childhood. So I didn't know anything else. Okay, so he says, let's go. So he wants me to write it. So and I said, I'm going, what? And he says, yeah, and Sammy Davis Jr. will be tap dancing on a bar, and we'll have the wallpaper will be newspapers, and we'll have some this I finally did discover, and we'll have some bleachers on like a highway, and that's bleachers out on Highway 61. That got into a song, but he was talking about that. We'll have some bleachers out, and there'll be a road, and I did all these wallpaper, dancing. So Newer says, he was sitting in a booth in a bar, and he's saying, and he's nudging him right in front of me. I'm sitting across from the two of them. He's going, hey, Bob, man, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And Dylan goes, yeah, I know, but let me just talk to him, okay? Don't interrupt me. He didn't say that, but that was what he's saying. He said, let me talk to him. I know. So he said, well, look, Larry, he's trying to explain. Now, here's what he's trying to explain. And I didn't find out this till years later. He was trying to explain to me MTV. That's what he was trying to explain to me. But this is when MTV just first started. I hadn't seen it yet. Nobody had really, except, some college students. But what he was trying to lay out to me was the fast cutting of, bleachers and dancing and doing it while he was singing one of his protest songs. So nowadays, of course, later on, it did make sense. But then MTV, and he didn't say MTV. He just told me the cutting. And,
Yeah.
have this. And it was just, and I said, and then I said, well, okay, can I think about it? And he goes, yeah. And Newer says, he doesn't understand. And Dylan says, yeah, I know. He says, it's okay, Larry. I'll talk to you later. And he said, let's get out of here. We got to do a show tonight. And he left. This was in the afternoon. No, it was at night. So it was the next day. He said, okay, fine. He splits. Okay. I wonder what that was all about. I never heard from him again. And then years later, I get a call from Robbie Robertson in my home saying, Bob Dylan told me to call you. And I go, Bob Dylan, oh my God, the whole bar thing. That's like years ago in the committee in San Francisco. Holy cow. And he says, what are you calling about? He says, we want you to write a movie for us. I'll do the music and he'll do the words. But it's got to be a Carney movie because the band is into Carney. So I said, okay. So I spent 3 months that's what I spent 3 months up there in Bearsville with them, just writing, but I didn't know how to write a movie. So what I did was I wrote a Ballad of Reading Jail type of poem, 13 stanzas. It was a synopsis of a movie in rhyme. It's pretty hard to do, man.
But they like that too, right?
Oh, they loved it.
Yeah.
Dylan wanted to do it. He was all over it. Robertson wanted to do it even. I mean, but Warner Brothers didn't. They said, this rhymes. But they paid me a huge amount of money. I mean, thousands and thousands of dollars. Many thousands of dollars to do it. So I took the money and ran, I took it.
Literally.
Yeah. I ran down and took it out of the bank because they deposited it in the bank. And I just took it out, boom, put it in my bank. And that was it. And then they said, and then Robbie said, he called me and he said, hey, they don't want to do it. I said, well, is that okay? Then we're even. I'm talking about the money. We're even, He said, no, it's fine. Everything's fine. We just don't have any more money. They gave us, he told me this. He said, Warner Brothers gave us a certain amount of, probably I would say $100,000. I mean, that's just a guess. It's not from anywhere. They probably gave me, said, just, get it so that we can take it from there. So get it written all together, get the screenplay, and then give it to us. We'll make a movie out of it. Because, Dylan and Robertson, they were both big. So that's, I think, where the money for me came from, because Robertson said, no, we've run out of money. Because they kept on flying in other writers to help me with it, to make the screenplay. But no matter what they wrote, Warner Brothers just didn't want to do it. Whatever. I mean, I had the basic thing. It was kind of what was it? The Ballad of Aukus, Aukus.
Yeah.
Because Howard Auk was his buddy who was a cinematographer.
So the movie that they wanted you to write, was it based on Life is a Carnival, their song Life is a Carnival, or?
No, but that's what they wanted. That's exactly what they wanted. Life is a Carnival. That would be like the opening music to the movie. But no, they wanted a carny movie about carnival, weird clowns and Ferris wheels and, what do you call it? Monty, what is that? Monty, find the whatever. I don't know, card games and shit, cheating people. So yeah, but I couldn't write. I said, I don't know much about Carney, but I said, what about cowboys? What about, I wrote it was 1882. The movie took place in 1882. That was as close I could get to Carney. Was just a lifestyle, just, a very narrow lifestyle, cowboy. And I thought, well, a god comes to earth. He's a very handsome god called Aukus, who got in a fight with another god, and the other god cut off his nose. And so he came to earth to find his nose. This god, this Greek god, comes to earth to find his nose. Yeah, right. So I see your partner laughing. So he comes in, God finds his nose. And what he does is he becomes a rancher. This god becomes a rancher with something wrong with his nose. Now, you know what I saw? Cat Ballou. I had just seen Cat Ballou. And remember, the lead bad guy had a fake nose. He had a silver nose, which was attached by a string, just like having an eye patch, an eye patch with a string. So he had a nose. Somebody had made him a silver nose. And I said, that was in Cat Ballou. So I just took that and I said, well, okay, let's make a movie, but star the nose. It's about the nose, a god's nose. And Dylan thought it was cool. He thought it was great because it had a lot of images. In other words, I did fashion it like a lot of his songs, which are flashing images. I finally got it. That's what he was explaining about MTV, flashing images. Dylan had said, all my songs are flashing images. I just don't connect them with a story. I connect them with themes. So that's what I did. Okay, so then I had Dogs of All Nations. Where'd that come from? Howard Auk had, I swear to God, 15 dachshunds, the sausage dogs,
Yeah.
He had 15 of them. And what he did was he called them. And the first time I ever met Dogs of All Nations was this. I went over to Howard Auk's house, which was a cottage, a cabin in the woods. It was a cabin in the woods. So I met him outside, grass and trees and shit. And we were just talking, and he said, how about a movie? Because I wanted to talk to him about the movie. So I said, well, he said, how about, would you like to have Dogs of All Nations in the movie? I said, well, what is that? I don't get what that is. There's a lot I didn't get. And I said, what's that? He says, I'll show you. Dog, and he yells at the cabin, Dogs of All Nations. And 15 dachshunds comes running out of the house. And I had a camera, but I was too movie camera, which I brought up with me, which I got with the money. But I was too shocked to film it. And then afterwards, but they had gone. He said, "Back into the house, all of you." And I thought, that's not a made-up Dylan image. Dogs of all nations. That's a real thing. These guys aren't making up anything. This is all real. Yeah. Would you think Dogs of All Nation existed? I wouldn't think. Yeah. So that went into the movie. That part went into the movie. I did write a section where one of the owners of another ranch. It was cattlemen against grasslands, or the cattle against agriculture. That happened in the Old West. So those are the two ranchers. And the god was a cattle guy, and the Dogs of All Nations belonged to him. And I had them doing, and then there was bar scenes and stuff like that. And it became a Western, but kind of interesting and quirky.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers. Now, years and years later, so that adventure happened year, and then like 3 years, Dylan came to he saw me in Greenwich Village. Years later, he saw me in the committee. Years later, Robertson called me. Then years later, I found out that I was in the committee, so I was in San Francisco, and I was going to fly somewhere, and I went to the Wayne Airport, John Wayne Airport. I was in which is a very small airport, so there's nobody there really, and I had to fly out of there. So I was there, and there's like maybe 7 people in the whole big lobby. And I just sat down, and right across from me, reading a paper, I didn't know who it was. And then he, just folded it, and I saw who it was. And it was the producer at Warner Brothers who had to present my 13-page rhyming synopsis to Warner Brothers, because that's who Robertson and Dylan was dealing with. This guy who was sitting opposite me. And I had met him once, so I recognized him back in the day. I had recognized. And he goes, and he sees me. I mean, there's nobody else. What kind of thing? Right directly. Boom, boom. And he goes, and that was all. And I thought, well, I got to go over and talk to him. I mean, this is too ridiculous. I can't just sit here. I got to. So I start to walk over to him, and he goes like this, and he sees me, and he puts down the paper, ready to talk. And he goes, "Hi, Larry." He's very friendly, very friendly. And a man gentleman about in his 50s. And he says, so I'm coming over, and I go, "Hi," I forgot his name. I knew his name then. "Hi, blah, blah, blah." And he says, "Hi, Larry." And he says, "Hi, Larry." And I go, about that. And he goes, "It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all taken care of. Move on." I go, "Oh, okay. Well, thanks. Good. No sweat."
That was the end of it.
That was it. And then years after that, it turns out that this guy, was a college buddy of one of my best friends in New York.
Oh, shit.
And years later, my best friend from college tells me, "I'm flying to Florida to see a really good buddy." And my sister lived down there at the time. Said, "Oh, hey, well, let's fly together. Who is your friend?" And he says, "Blah, blah, blah." And "That's the guy from Warner Brothers. I know him." He says, "Yeah, well, I'm going to go have dinner with him. I'll ask him." I said, "Yeah, great." So I had dinner with him years later with my friend and him. And the weird thing about it, or the sad thing about it, I don't know. But we had dinner, and then we went to his house. He was just a whacked out alcoholic. Yeah. So I don't know. Was it me who caused that? No, I don't think so. But I mean, it was yeah, I did think that. Oh my God, he's become an alcoholic because I fucked up the movie. I mean, this is like 10, 20 years later.
Yeah.
But he was married, and his wife is just putting up with it, I guess. I don't know. So, but, so and we spoke about it for a second. He says to his friend, he says, Larry and I go way back. He said, Larry and I go way back. But that was about all. I said, yeah, but we didn't talk about it. And, he just went about our business. But he was totally an alcoholic. I've had a wonderful life, man. I mean, it is, because it's an interesting. I think about it all the time. I say, wow, man, and it's still going on. It's still going on, man.
Yeah, very interesting, man. Ray, what do you have for Larry before we let him go?
Okay, so I usually do these real questions where I ask you a question and you've got 60 seconds. And I know that might be impossible for you to keep any answer.
Great.
So here's your question. Would you ever consider taking another crack at that movie?
Okay, I didn't hear you.
All right. Would you consider taking another crack at the God movie with the nose cut off, trying to get it made?
Well, I would, but here's the 60 seconds. That poem is lost forever. It was thrown overboard, which is a whole other story. Thrown overboard when I lived on a houseboat, which was not a houseboat. It was a fucking rickety old junker. But I lived on it, and the landlady, when I didn't pay the rent, threw everything overboard, including that poem. And I had the only copy because it was before digital. It was typed out. So there was only 1 or 2 copies, and it was only 13 pages long, but it was 13 stanzas. It was very thin, but it was thrown away. So there's no trace of it, and I could never repeat 13 stanzas. I told you is all I know about it, all I remember about it.
Damn.
Did I get into under 30, under 60?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that story is also in the book, That Guy, a cautionary memoir by Larry Hankin. So please, Larry, your plugs, where everybody can find you, and you're more than welcome
on
back
Amazon,
anytime, brother.
Okay, November, December, January, or February. I'll do it again because my next book will be out. So we have something else to talk about.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Okay. All right, if something else happens, I'll give you a ring. Thank you very much, man. Call me anytime.
Thank you, brother. Show. I appreciate it, man. I travel for work all the time too, so I'd love to have dinner with you sometime when I'm out there.
Fine, if you give me a call. Do you have my phone number or you?
Yeah, I do.
Or my email. Let's do it.
All right, brother.
All right,
cool,
take it
man.
easy. Thank you, guys.
Great. Thank you, Larry.
Okay, bye.
Bye.